Brad, it's Bob Gaughan. Can't believe it's already been 200 shows. May you have 20,000 more shows. Love your show. Love being on your show. And when I was on earlier this week, I neglected to give you a Stone Cold lock, so let me give it to you now. I'm going to go with the teaser variety, NFL. Sometimes I like to tease when you get some good numbers, teasing down past all the major numbers, or teasing up past all the major numbers, and I think I found two of them this week. One is Detroit minus 8.5. You bring that down to minus 2.5. Detroit, team seems coming off the bye on a roll against a Minnesota team that has to go back to J.J. McCarthy as their quarterback. So basically all they need to do is win by a field goal at home. I kind of like that. And I like taking Denver. They're at 1.5, so we can tease that up to 7.5. They're playing Houston, which two of the better defensive teams in the NFL, and both seem like it's going to be a defensive struggle. The over-under of the game is only 39. So if I'm getting 7.5 in a defensive struggle, I also think that Denver's got the better offense with Sean Payton, calling the plays there with Bo Nix. So that's your Stone Cold Lock teaser, taking Detroit from 8.5 down to 2.5. Taking Denver from 1.5 up to 7.5. That's my gift to you on your 200th show. Bob Gaughan with his Stone Cold Lock. I will talk to you next week. Take care, Brad.
Hey, Brad. This is your senior legal correspondent, Ray Walter, calling in to congratulate you on your 200th episode. A greater bicentennial hasn't been celebrated since President Gerald Ford delivered remarks outside of Independence Hall on July 4th, 1976. Much like our great nation has been an experiment in liberty and self-governance, Riter Radio has been an experiment in whether a middle-aged man can empty the cluttered contents of his mind into a microphone 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. Without reservation, all can agree that both experiments have been a resounding success. Cheers to the next 200 episodes, my friend.
Hey, Brad, this is John Fuller. Just want to congratulate you on 200 episodes. It's been a pleasure to be your Philadelphia correspondent. And with the Eagles off to a first-place start, the Sixers 4-0 to start the season, and the Flyers off to a better-than-expected start, I fully anticipate coming on your show here talking about championships for years to come, because I can't imagine anything possibly going wrong. So looking forward to it, and stay tuned. Thanks.
Brad Ryder, Ben Turnbull here, your senior rugby correspondent, calling in to wish you a happy 200th episode. AI tells me that the 200-meter sprint in track and field starts on a curve and ends on a straightaway, so it involves both skill and outright speed. That's pretty neat. We've got the Greek myth of the Typhon named, well, I guess the monster named Typhon, who has 200 eyes, and apparently fire shoots out of each one of those 200 eyes. That's pretty cool. The Pony Express traveled 200 miles a day. Dandelions, each flower head produces 200 of those tiny little seeds. That's no good. Apparently 200 companies control a quarter of the world's wealth. That's not awesome. A 200-year flood. AI tells me that a 200-year flood is a flood that has a 1 in 200 chance of occurring in any given year. Thanks, AI. That's awesome. So I guess I would like to say then that I hope, Brad, that your 200th episode is the Greek monster Typhon's 200 flaming eyes of internet radio. Congratulations, and we look forward to the future.
Hey, what's up? It's an all-new episode of Riter Radio, but it's all recorded. It's the 200th episode of Riter Radio, brought to you by Brian Janik at thefinancialguys.com. And it's a Halloween episode, but it's also a Brad's in a bus going to Bowling Green, Ohio for a football game while the show is supposed to air type of episode. So what you're going to see is a pre-recorded episode. It's pieced together. It's mostly new content, but it's not live. It can't be live. It couldn't be live today. I apologize for that. But 10 o'clock show, 10 o'clock bus trip for a football game. They kind of conflict. So as much as we should be celebrating and dancing together and giving each other candy and wearing costumes and things, it's just not the case. I forgot to hit play on the thing. It's supposed to be scary stuff playing in the background. Like, there we go. Now we got it. Various horror movies playing out. So I'm new to this. I'm new to the video part of it. We're 200 episodes in. We're like 8 or 9 episodes into the video part, or maybe 6. Might have started it last Friday. This is like the 6th video episode. So I don't know what I'm doing with the video, but I do know that I needed to put together something to air to celebrate the 200th episode. 201 will be live on Monday at 10 o'clock, but 200 is pre-recorded. Now, here's the deal. You're getting new content. You're going to hear from Scott Wilson maybe twice, once regarding UB football, once regarding the 200th episode and his football pick for the week, because we do that every Friday with Scott. But Scott's in the bus with me. In or on? He's on the bus with me. We're traveling. So we pre-recorded that. I had an interview, a conversation yesterday. It's not an interview when Paul Peck is on, but Paul has been out from UB football, which is weird. If you know Paul at all, he lives for this stuff. Paul missing a game is crazy. Paul missing 2 games means he had a heart attack, and he'll be back for the next game. He's good. He had surgery. It was quick, and I won't say painless. Painless for me. I didn't have to deal with it. But he was kind enough to join me and talk about the whole experience. We did that on the Thursday show, episode 199, but I knew that I would play it again as a part of episode 200. In addition to that, we will have, what was I going to say? My buddy Ben. So earlier this week, I did like a recap of the trip to Carolina with my friend Ben and 13 others. They all went. I didn't go, but they went to the Bills game at Carolina. Some of them giant Bills fans, others just kind of supportive of the Bills' habit of their loser friends that they've known for 30 years and have never, they've never seen the team win a championship. They've never seen their friends happy. So they're supportive. It's a supportive group. This is why I still hang out with these people 30 years after meeting them at Geneseo. But Ben chimes in to recap the trip. That's all new, brand new content. Ben's in costume. I'm in costume for that one, sort of. It's gross. It's scary. You won't like it. But the content is good. And also we'll have scary stuff on the screen the whole time. This may be a full 2-hour show. This may be a show that's like an hour long and loops back around. Maybe it ends up being like an hour 10 and it airs twice. I'm not sure yet. I'm just working to put it together right now it's Thursday afternoon, and I've got to get this prepared before I can finish getting prepared for the football game that I'm doing on Saturday, where I'll be the color analyst for the first time in my life. I've been doing the games for several years, so it'll be fine, and I'm working with Scott, but Paul's got 1 more week off before the doctor's note expires, and he's got to get back to work. So it'll be Scott on play-by-play and me on color. I'm also hosting the pre-game show and the halftime show, as I always do. Bob Gaughan will have the post-game show from back in Amherst. But that's what's going on today. It's episode 200. It's new to you. It's not live. Again, I'm on a bus. But technology is pretty cool. So if you're seeing this, it worked. And that means that I was able to take everything that we assembled and put it together. If this was audio only, I'm good at that. I know how to assemble audio, put it together, edit it. I'm good at that. I've been doing that forever. The video part is new to me, but it's made pretty easy by technology. Might not be perfect, but it's all right. We changed the color of the screen from the standard dark blue to orange to celebrate Halloween and to celebrate 200. We'll probably have some fireworks mixed in. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But please enjoy the video version of this. The audio version will just sound like a regular podcast if it all gets put together, or a regular live stream, or whatever it is that we call Riter Radio. But we are 200 episodes in. Very happy about that. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back live on Monday with episode 201. But for now, bear with me as we work our way through. It's like a clips show, but it's new stuff recorded just for this. I can't get away with telling you it's live because I tell you all about my life, and I tell you I've got to go to Bowling Green, and I've been talking about it. So I'm not shy about telling you that this is pre-recorded, but it's really me. It's really live. It's not AI. It's not CGI. It's really me. It's really Paul. It's really Ben. It's really Scott. And most of it is stuff you haven't seen or heard before. And we may also hear from other friends chiming in to celebrate episode number 200 of Riter Radio. Thanks for sticking with me for this long. Bigger and better things to come as we continue to progress with the show. But thank you once again. I can't tell you what's coming next because I haven't pieced it together yet. But this is the intro to the show. And here it comes. Here comes episode 200. What I've been calling the Riter Radio episode 200 Halloween Spooktacular. Clunky. Real clunky. That's all right. We'll be good. All right. Stick around. Thank you. And I'll talk to you live on Monday. Here's the 200th episode spectacular, brought to you by Brian Janik at thefinancialguys.com. You heard a lot about Brian Janik last, it was earlier this week, but this is so confusing, pre-recording a show for episode number 200. But my buddy Ben, who uses multiple last names, he just flies by the seat of his pants, just wings it whenever he wants. I'm just calling him Ben. He can call himself whatever he wants to. Was one of my 14 friends who attended Bills-Panthers this past weekend in Charlotte. And Ben was the one who filed multiple reports with us, some of them as simple as eating breakfast and getting ready, some of them talking about a raid on the tailgate party that was arranged. All right, let's just start with this, Ben. Let's start with the part where I've known you for 30 years, let's say, and there used to be a handful of Bills fans. What is it about the Bills and the fan base and maybe our pathetic nature and maybe our quarterback that has led to all of the friends who used to make fun of us for losing 4 Super Bowls are now kind of on board, and everybody's got their own teams. A lot of people have other teams, but Buffalo's kind of become everybody's second favorite team, and that is evidenced by the fact that we keep, as a group, going to games. It doesn't have to be in Buffalo. This was Charlotte. We've got one friend in Charlotte. It was like, yeah, let's 14 people go watch the Buffalo Bills, which has become our team. Like, it's America's team. It's Saratoga's team. It's our group's team. How did that happen?
It is obviously America's second favorite team at this point. I mean, I'll tell you my journey. I grew up a Steelers fan. And when my son was 5, he started watching football and wanted to kind of pick a team. And we were talking about that. And he asked why I was a Steelers fan. And I had to think about it. It occurred to me that I'd never been to Pittsburgh. I don't know anyone in Pittsburgh. I have no relationship to Pittsburgh whatsoever, other than when I was a kid, my older brother was a Cowboys fan. And the Cowboys and the Steelers were rivals. So I picked the Steelers just so I could be contrary to my older brother.
Good.
Which, as my 5-year-old son pointed out to me, did not seem like a very good reason to be a football.
But it does sound like you. It does sound a lot like Ben.
So he and I sat down and thought, all right, well, look, we started off with the idea of let's pick a team that a lot of people that we know like. And I'm in the Capital District, upstate New York. Patriots fans, there's Eagles fans, Jets, Giants, Bills. And we kind of talked through who do we think really needs our help. So this is 10 years ago? Yeah, 10, 11 years ago. And we decided it was the Bills. And part of the thought process for me was, at that point, no one's going to accuse me of bandwagon jumping for deciding to be a Bills fan and buy some stuff. So we did. And it was because I had a bunch of friends in Western New York. I like people in Western New York. And I decided to be a Bills fan. And I think that part of it, combined with the earnest fandom of the people in Western New York, you and I going to Geneseo, like we would watch people, we watched you people agonize in the 90s, and it was very difficult for us, but something sticks in the back of your mind of like, those are people who really care, and I think I want to be part of that. And like, in no small part, has Josh Allen played in that as well. I think at this point, he is, I don't know Josh Allen. The perception he puts out there in public is so nice. Everybody seems to like him. He seems to make everybody else want to play with him. I think there are people on the team who could have played for other teams had they wanted to leave for more money, and 1 or 2 of them have. But I think there's people that stay there because they like playing with Josh Allen. And I think there's a lot of people that like being fans of Josh Allen. And frankly, Brad, I think you and I are good friends to a lot of people. I think Ray Walter's a good friend to a lot of people. I think our other friends from Western New York are good friends to a lot of people. And I like to think that part of it, at least within our group, is
people are like, I support those guys. They're always nice. I root for the Jets. I root for the Giants. I'm pull for Scott Wilson, when I can.
I think that we were done a favor by not winning either of those Super Bowls that took place while I was in Geneseo. You were there for 3, maybe 4 of them. I was there for 2 of them, the 2 Cowboys losses. Had the Bills won one of those games, maybe the non-Bills fans' taste or perception, I should say, of the Bills fans would be much different because we would have been insufferable. But instead, we were just pathetic and sad, and now it's been 30 years, and that sadness becomes a part of our intrigue, becomes part of what makes people like us, I think, right?
Yeah, my freshman year was the wide right year, and I watched people weep, and I was an early decision kid, so I got put in an upperclassman dorm, and I'm from upstate New York. I don't have that relationship to sports. There's no major league anything around the Capital District. College hockey is the best that we get, and I'm watching upperclassmen weep at a football game and walk out of the suite in tears when that happened, and I it stuck with me, man.
Yeah, it's terrible. So now that we spent like a 15-year period being completely harmless and pathetic, then you started to think, hey, they could use my help. And now that you say it, I kind of remember you putting out, this seems like something you would do, a lengthy text message to the group asking, basically asking for like an RFP. Like, who would like to, who can we work for here? I'm available. My son Benson is available. Who wants us? And I'm sure I said, yeah, come on, man. I mean, it's not super fun, but you'll have people to hang out with, and that'll be cool. It helps that there's a place to go. And a few years back, and it was like 25 people. We got together to go to a game in Buffalo, and they dominated, and we had a great time, big party. We did a tailgate out at Jeremy White's trailer, and it was awesome. So that really got it in motion. I think Chris, who lives in Charlotte, who invited everybody down this time, was the one who said, hey, I've got an idea. This sounds fun. Who wants to go to a Bills game? And everyone said yes, and it was a great time. So now there's that connection too. It took, 20 years of ignoring the team before it was like, hey, let's go. Let's see if it's fun. Turns out it's super fun. And now everybody, like Matt, who is a diehard Seahawks fan, and we heard from a couple days ago on one of your perfectly done little interview segments that you had from Charlotte. I loved it. I loved how often you brought up Brian Janik. I thought that was good too. But Matt, did you say he bought a hat and a T-shirt, Bills?
Yes, he bought. I'm not sure if he bought a T-shirt. He at least bought a hat.
A hat, good enough. I mean, that's something. That's Seahawks. That's a Seahawks guy through and through.
I'll tell you that tailgate party that we went to with Jeremy White really solidified it for me, and I think for a bunch of other guys as well. And it wasn't just because they were excellent hosts. That was everything you thought you were going to get at a Bills tailgate party. But for me, there was something extra that I don't know if everybody saw or cared or registered that means a lot to me, being kind of a newcomer. Like I'm really just cosplaying being a sports fan at any given point in my life. And I'm watching like Jarrett, and I'm watching like his friend Patrick and the other guys that were there. They welcomed us, and they were taunting in a friendly way the other people who were not Bills fans who happened to be in the parking lot. They would exchange some fun taunts, and then they would invite them over, and they'd give them drinks, and they'd give them food, and it was a really nice situation, not just for people who were pretending to be Bills fans, but people who were also there to support a team other than the Bills. I feel like that was kind of a pivotal moment for me as well. Like, oh yeah, this is something I can get behind. I mean, we like our team, but we're also not mean to the other people. We're doing something fun here together. And Brad, when our tailgate party got raided, it was the most Western New York raid I could have thought of or even pictured. So
I'm going to call a timeout to say that our tailgate party that we're talking about from several years ago at Jeremy's thing didn't get raided because it's Western New York, and that's what you're supposed to do. You guys were trying to replicate that in some way. I saw pictures. It looked like, thousands upon thousands of Bills fans. I didn't see a Panthers thing in sight. You guys took over a parking lot. Somebody had rented it. You guys paid X number of dollars to be able to attend, probably park there, and certainly be a part of the food and beverage thing, right? Like that was the deal. You had like a prearranged, we'll give you $100 a person or whatever it is, and we're coming in.
Yeah, we don't know who did it. Somebody rented it. Some outfit rented this thing and put fences up, and you went in, you show them your phone, you go in, and then there's just a whole bunch of food and there's a whole bunch of beer, but you pay for it. It was beer and mixed drinks and everything, and you pay for it all ahead of time. So nobody's exchanging money or anything. So this started, I think, at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And at 10:45, I'm up to just get a beer, and that's when the state liquor authority and accompanied by police came in, and I hear them arguing with the promoters, and it was sort of like, you need a license to sell alcohol, and they're like, we're not selling alcohol. This is a closed party. We're not. So as they are bickering back and forth over whether or not they are selling alcohol, the people who were working there, who were just behind a whole bunch of tables and had these giant bins filled with beer and ice and then just all these bottles of liquor, just started grabbing the bins and pushing them out into the crowd of people waiting for beer and just yelling, take it all. You paid for it. It's yours. And they're just and they're turning around and handing people bottles, and people are scooping up armfuls of beer. And the best part about it was, people were running out with armfuls of beer and then immediately handing those beers out to strangers. There was a dude in a Viking hat that came running out, and he had 2 bottles of Jameson, one in each hand. And he pulls the cap off of each with his teeth, and he yells, "We're all drinking JMO." And anybody who was standing not paying attention that had a plastic cup in their hand, he's running by just dumping Jameson into their cups.
That's great.
Everybody was giving it away. And I think that it was probably a well-planned event to begin with, because everybody leaves at noon anyway. I think I left with an extra beer in my pocket that I wasn't going to drink, and there was just beer and alcohol laying around, I think, because they were planning on giving it all away anyway. But it was so nice that nobody grabbed and ran towards their car to try to hoard. Everybody was giving it away to anybody. And I know that with those pictures that you probably saw at the tailgate party, it's Bills wall to wall. There were plenty of Panthers fans there, and everybody was nice to them. And there were plenty of Panthers fans in the stadium. Like, it was 4-1 Bills to Panthers, but everybody was nice to them. It wasn't.
I heard that number not from you, I don't even remember. Maybe it was in the text thread afterward. But I never saw any real shots of the crowd in the stadium. You can always tell. I mean, Bills fans travel any game, anywhere. You're going to hear when the Bills score, it's going to sound like a home touchdown almost. You're going to sense their presence. But I never got any good shots of the crowd to tell me. Was it really like 4-1? You think that's accurate ratio? Bills to Panthers?
It was 8-1 in the second row. The second tier where we were. I would say 4-1 is an accurate description. But when it's 3rd and long at any stadium, and whatever the home stadium is, they're trying to get the home crowd riled up, like to against the other team. Yep. Who are home teams on defense. Like, let's get the noise up in here so they can't make the play calls or anything. When they were doing that with the Panthers, the Jaguars fans, you couldn't really tell a noticeable difference in it's on the Jumbotron. Everybody get up, everybody get to your feet. Let's make some noise. And I didn't really hear any noise. And they obviously weren't doing it when the Bills were on defense, and the place was just erupting in ear splitting. And the day before, we took ourselves on a self-guided walking tour around downtown Charlotte, and it was just Bills fans everywhere wearing their colors. And we went to a brewery, and there were just, I'm looking around, I'm like, 75% of the people at this brewery are wearing Bills colors. I assume that means that 100% of the people at this brewery are Bills fans. And it wasn't like they were advertising something or there was a Bills party there. There were just Bills fans everywhere.
We find breweries. Yeah, we get there, we wear our stuff, and we find breweries. That's what we do. Yeah. In any city that we attend. How was the actual game? I've never been to a game at that stadium. Not the game, but how was like the setup inside the I don't know, accoutrement of the whole place? What was it like?
It was fine. It was a fairly regular stadium with regular seats. We were way up in the nosebleeds because when you're getting 14 seats together, that's really all that you can do. Yeah. But the stairs were steep and they were hard to climb for some of the guys, and we were cheering people on as they were coming up the stairs. But there's not a bad seat in the place, and there were plenty of bathrooms, and it was a fairly standard stadium.
All right, let me ask you about. I had a point here. Hold on, give me a second. I'll think it because I knew what I was about to say. It was about the game. It was about the aftermath. Ben, I've lost my train of thought. That's okay. The beauty of editing is I can fix this if I want to. I won't remember to, but if I would like to, because we're pre-recording this for the 200th episode spectacular that's happening while I'm hurtling, 75 miles an hour from here to Bowling Green, Ohio, at the exact same time as the show. It's pre-recorded, but you were kind enough to jump in and, I know what I was going to ask you. How was your experience with the recording of all the segments? Like, what did you use? Did you have to convince people to come on with you? Some seemed more reluctant than others, but you got a good chunk of the guys who were down there on the trip to be a part of the show. You sent it to me all on Sunday. I didn't get to it until Tuesday, but we got it all in. How was that experience for you? And were people kind to you, or were they annoyed by you and your microphone?
People were kind to me. They're our friends. I use something called Recorder Pro. I don't really know what it is. It's just an app that I found for free for recording things, and it seemed to work really well. I think a couple of the guys, like Ray Walter, knows that sometimes I would do something like this. And I think I may have even talked to him about it beforehand. And the two guys that I had flown with, I told them, hey, at some point I'm probably going to talk to you. And, Matt was one of them. But I think for the other guys, I don't know. Ben's usually involved in some sort of a hijinks. Ben generally doesn't do mean things to other people. So I think that I am sort of the guy in the group that if he walks up to you with his phone and says, hey, I'm here with so-and-so, would you like to start talking about something? People kind of look at you for a second. They're like, yeah, sure. I don't know what he's doing, but let's see where it goes.
I don't know what he's doing, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And I like to think that the energy I'm putting out in the universe is, I don't know what he's doing, but I bet it's fun, and I bet it's not going to hurt anyone or make anyone feel bad. That's what I'm going for. All
right, top moments of your interviews with our friends. I gotta say, Siersky did in fact steal the show late.
Absolutely.
Just by jumping in, and also I really enjoyed when he had a mouthful of what I could only picture was sausage. Do you know what he was eating when his mouth was full and he started bad-mouthing the Raiders? Because that was one of my favorite moments of the whole thing. I like it as sausage.
I believe it was pulled pork.
Okay, good enough.
But not bad. I'd say I'd give it to you. If this was Family Feud, I'd give it to you. I'd turn that card over for you.
No, both available in barbecue form, so I'm cool with that. Ray just turning into Dr. Seuss when talking about not wanting to eat eggs, I thought was fantastic. And man, a lot of plugs for Liquid IV. Did you partake in Liquid IV?
I didn't, because Chris was talking about giving him heart palpitations, and I already have kind of my thing that I do with caffeine in the morning, and I generally don't want more than that. Especially, I don't know what your relationship was with caffeine, but mine has a relationship to other things that I do in the morning, and I'm not interested in messing with that on my way to a tailgate party and a football game. So no, I did not do the Liquid IV. But then again, I also didn't hit it as hard as some of the other guys did the day before. You know me, I'm a committed day drinker, but by about 9:30 or 10 o'clock, it's time for me to go to bed. And that's why I can get up early in the morning and make people poached eggs for Ray to crap all over.
Pretty great. All right. So was there talk of the next trip, the next plan? Is there another Bills game involved? Are Giants fans getting itchy for us to go to that instead? Do the Jets fans even get a vote? What's the latest on our what's the temperature of our desire to go to another NFL game as a group in the fairly near future? Anything?
Confidence is high, Brad. Confidence is high.
Okay.
For any of those things. I think people would do another Bills game because everybody is secondary Bills fan. But part of the discussion that we all had, we have people that are Jets fans and we have people that are Giants fans. They've been committed their entire lives. I can root for them too. I like Charlotte. Charlotte happens to be a perfect city. This was a great weekend. The Bills coming off a bye week, playing so well. The Panthers not having an awesome team and not bad, but not having an awesome year. Charlotte is also, I've never met anyone from Charlotte. Everyone from Charlotte is from someplace else. Yeah. So I think that is a helpful place to go to watch your team. It's probably one of the only stadiums in the league where you can really go with your team and kind of take it over. But I think Bills in Charlotte, if they play again there next year, would be a possibility. I think there was one guy there from Chicago. I don't know if he's interested in having 14 of us stay at his house, but we'll see how that goes. He's a Giants fan.
All right. I like it.
It worked really well, man.
Is there anything else that I missed that I didn't ask you about that we haven't already learned about from the trip? I hate that I couldn't go, but I love that you guys just did it anyway. And looking at that crowd, it's a handful of you that I know as Bills fans, but mostly it's just our guys getting together in support of a team that some of us like. And I just think that's cool.
Well, let me tell you this, and this is something that everyone should be able to take away. If you're wondering how do you do stuff like this fun with your friends, when someone offers to host 14 of you at their house, and they're not even a Bills fan, if you go do a separate text string and you text some of the people that are going and say, you know, what would be fun is if we bought every Bills trinket that the Amazon has to offer and sent it to him in the weeks leading up to it. So we did that. I mean, it was grill stuff and bracelets for his daughters. There was a Smells Like Josh Allen candle. There were playing cards. There's a cutting board, coasters, any number of things. And again, it's not because he needs a cutting board or needs a grill net. It's because everyone is deciding that we're going to do this thing together. And no one's like, well, I'm not going to send that because I'm not a Bills fan. Everyone's like, we're friends and we're doing a Bills thing and we're going to do a Bills thing together and we're going to make it as fun as possible. And I'm telling you, that really helps.
Awesome. All right, Ben, thank you for your time, your contributions last weekend, your contribution to show number 200. You've been on probably, 5-6 times now, I would say. You're a regular out of 200. That's a pretty good percentage. Pretty good percentage. Let's push it even further as we head toward 300.
Sounds good, Brad. Go Bills.
Go Bills is right. Thank you very much, Ben blank. He's been everything. He's been Ben Turnbull. He's been Ben something else. He can be whatever Ben he wants to be. He's kind enough to contribute to this, the 200th episode of Riter Radio, taking place on Halloween. Ooh, it's Halloween. Can you tell? Maybe on the audio version you can't tell. On the video version, you're going to want to watch the video version of today's show. It's a little bit different. It's a little twist here on Halloween, episode 200. The Halloween Spectacular, the episode 200 Spectacular. All of it happening while I'm in a bus on the way to Bowling Green, Ohio for tomorrow's kickoff, noon kickoff, 11 o'clock pregame. And as I've mentioned, I will be making my debut as a color analyst. Paul Peck's still out for one more game, then he'll be back. So it's Scott on play-by-play, me in my regular pregame and halftime role, but also as the color guy. So Scott plays Paul, I play Scott, and I play Brad. 2 jobs for me this time. Time out. We'll be back with more of the 200th episode of Riter Radio, brought to you by Brian Janik and the Financial Guys. Stick around.
Let's check in with Riter Radio's senior bowling correspondent, Paul Peck.
Riter Radio. There we go. Riter Radio, episode 199 continues. Although you may hear this as part of episode 200 as well, because it's just the way that things are going to work out. Episode 200 is a pre-recorded show because we're going to be on the way to Bowling Green right at the exact time. So it's a big, spectacular episode on Halloween, but it's pre-recorded. And I think it will include this, my conversation with Paul Peck, who has not been abducted, although we've been missing Paul Peck for 2 weeks. So here's the deal, Paul. I sent you a text. I just want to get the context out there right now. I sent a text to you yesterday and said, hey, would you like to come on the show tomorrow? Because last week, last minute, as the game started, we're like, sorry, no Paul, he's sick today. Paul does not miss games. Paul's done 300-plus consecutive games, and he missed a game, and we said you were sick, and that was fine. But now we're going to have to say that you're sick again, and also that you're coming back for the next game. So that's a tough story to tell and just have people, they're like, hey, what are you talking about? Why is he sick, but we know he's not going to be sick? Would you like to explain to the people where you've been, where the hell you've been, Paul?
Well, and I do appreciate that, people care, right? And notice those kinds of things, right? It's like, wait a minute, where's the guy that I normally tune into to hear these games?
Right.
And I understand your point. And, my first urge, Brad, in general with my personality is like, just keep your private things private. Like the world doesn't need to know. We kind of live in a world now where everyone thinks everyone cares about them and everything about them. And that's just not who I am. But under the circumstances that you talked about and the fact that I feel really great now, it is okay. I don't mind telling everybody a little bit what I went through pretty much just shy of 24 hours, a week ago as to where we sit right now. So, so here's the story, and it's kind of funny, like, you guys and a lot of other people, it gave me an incredible 60th birthday celebration earlier in the month, and it was awesome, right? And it came with the obligatory amount of grilling about becoming an old man and all that other stuff, and that's all well and good. And And my life as a quote unquote old man, I couldn't even get out of a month of it without having an old man issue, right? And like, come on, man, like at least give me like a couple of months before stuff starts breaking down. So here's the story. My wife and I are working out, as we do a couple times a week with at a gym with a trainer, and that was Thursday, and I was struggling. I wasn't feeling great. Now, I hadn't eaten any lunch that day and hadn't eaten much, so you're sort of justifying in your own mind. You're like, well, it's because I didn't eat and my energy is down or whatever. But like, I was struggling more than I normally would to get through stuff that I normally get through. And all kinds of other little things happen, like you get a little kind of burning in your chest and you're a little nauseous and a little pale. And thanks to the world of modern technology, I can hit my Apple Watch and it can tell me what my heart rate is. And like, oh, that's not normal. It's a little low. And so as this thing goes on, I start getting progressively worse and start feeling worse. And that pain in the chest didn't really go away. So as the workout wraps up, I know my wife was concerned. I know our trainer, he's an awesome guy and we have a great relationship with, was a little concerned too. But again, we're guys and we're of that sort of rub dirt on it generation. I'm fine. I'll be fine. It's because I didn't eat. Like again, your inclination is to come up with reasons for it other than what the worst case scenario might be. So we're driving home, and I'm like, man, I just don't feel well. My wife can kind of tell something's not right, and man, credit to her, because she didn't listen to me when I said, oh, let's just go home. We literally were on our way home. We literally drove right by our house. At that point, she goes, nope, I'm taking you to the MAC Center in this case, because it's about 10 minutes from our house here over by the stadium. Yep. And that was the best decision. I literally not embellishing by saying I might owe her my life for that. Get to the MAC Center, the chest pain start to get worse. Go through the whole process, and ultimately they find out that I have a blocked, almost completely blocked artery. And then it eventually leads to getting transferred to Mercy Hospital and having to go through an angioplasty and having stents inserted and stuff. And, it was a crazy 24 hours, but I was back out Saturday in time to listen to you guys call the game. And and there, other than a couple of hours immediately in the aftermath of when this all started, I felt fine. I feel fine now. I feel normal. So, credit to medicine and credit to awesome doctors and nurses and credit to the people around me that helped me get through this. So the doctor said take it easy for a few weeks, right? No restrictions. One of the doctors like, just don't run a marathon. Like, yeah, okay, not a problem. But they said take it easy. So it just seemed to make sense to chill this week. I got some follow-up appointments with doctors next week. It just didn't make any sense to rush it. Let's be very honest with you, 10 hours on a bus to Toledo, Ohio, I could think of better things to do. And it gives you guys and you and Scott a full week to prepare for doing the game. But to your point, like I missed one game in 17 years. And that's because there was a historic blizzard in Buffalo. We couldn't get out to get to a game. Like, you don't want to miss games. Like, the job is like, that's the job. If there's a game, you're there. So there's part of me that is pulled by not being at the game, but the part of me that can handle that is knowing that it's in good hands with you and Scott.
Paul, do you want to do the funny parts next, or do you want to stick with you giving serious answers that can help human beings? We're doing both either way, but you tell me.
At this point, I think I'm kind of, well, here, I want to follow up with one little funny-ish thing, and then I'm going to let you run this. So, again, when I was alert and conscious and through the entire process, right, understanding everything that was going on around me. When they take you into essentially the operating room to go and do this procedure, they kind of strap you down to a table, and then they literally insert this wire through your wrist that travels up your arm and into your chest through a vein and gets to the point where the issue is, and then does what it needs to do. So I'm literally laying about a foot from like a 75-inch monitor that is showing all of this, which was really freaky.
Yep.
And I'm listening to the doctor essentially do play-by-play of what's going on. Right? I'm thinking, hey, maybe that could be like a side job down the road.
Yeah, that'd
right?
be good.
Yeah. So I'm kind of in and out a little bit, but I can hear him telling the nurse, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're adding this, we're adding that. Like, and on occasion I would sort of look up and try to figure out if I could see what was going on. But you're seeing inside your body is really weird.
Yeah, that's gross. I don't want to do that.
Weird.
I didn't like that when my wife was pregnant and I'm looking inside and there's like a little dude in there. I didn't like when she was having the baby and they were monitoring stuff, especially my middle son who tried to choke himself out by tying his umbilical cord in a knot, and we're watching as his heart rate's going down, and all of a sudden the room gets stormed by a dozen doctors and nurses like, we got to get that baby out of here. Like, holy crap, what are we doing? And it's like, but yeah, it's basically a telestrator. So yeah, I mean, there are some similarities there. All right, do you want the serious part now, or do you want my favorite? Do you want the funniest thing to me about what happened to you, or do you want to stay serious?
Go funny.
Okay,
let's go funny.
All right, so let's say, I thought of this during pregame, and it was after we knew you were home. So our timeline is Thursday. You're on my show Thursday. Then Thursday night, you go to work out. All of this happens. Friday at some point, I get word Paul might not be able to do the game. He had a heart issue. So there's a 50-50 chance he can't do the game. Then an hour later, it's like, yeah, he's not doing the game. He's having surgery. And then by the time we're doing pregame, we're aware that you're home. You've already checked in with all of us. We're texting. It's like normal, except you're not there. It's as if you've got COVID or something. You're just,
right.
you can't make it. I missed a game for COVID. You guys were in Maryland. I just sat in my house. It was kind of like I was there. So there was that. But I thought about the fact, now this is behind the scenes radio stuff. Paul, on a weekly basis, on like Tuesday or Wednesday, goes out to the stadium for practice. And at the end of practice, he does an interview with an offensive player and a defensive player, and a one-on-one interview with Pete Lembo. And then we record those, and those are used in the pregame show. This is a little behind the curtains, but when I say, let's go to the locker room, check in with Paul Peck and Pete Lembo, it's on tape. You're right next to me, and we just play a tape, but it sounds like you are, it sounds fine. It's radio. That's the part of I was talking earlier about how you can lie on radio in certain ways that just make it sound better, and that's one of them. We just say, let's go to Paul Peck. We don't say, let's go to a tape of Paul Peck. So because we had, like, the pregame show is all set up with you interviewing multiple players and you interviewing Pete Lembo, I said to John Fuller, I could not stop laughing at this, Paul, and I apologize. It's at your expense. But again, it's once we knew you were fine that I was thinking this. Had Kim, your wife, not been intelligent enough to take you to the MAC, and then eventually you go and you get I even know what it's called. It's a radial cardiac cath. You didn't think I knew that, but I did.
I didn't.
There's a whole story about that in the Malcolm Gladwell book, how Buffalo was kind of early on in adopting this particular version of the cardiac cath because of influence from Toronto, and how there's a whole story about it that I was just reading anyway, so that's why I know the name. But what I was thinking was, had she not taken you and you were just out, like we found out, instead of finding out on Friday that you couldn't make the game, we found out on Friday there's no more Paul Peck. If that had happened, here's what the pregame show would have sounded like. First segment, me with John Fuller, right? It's every game we always start out, it's full of it. We call it Full of It sometimes because his name starts with full. So it would be me and John Fuller talking about your accomplishments and mourning the loss of Paul Peck. That would be the first segment. It'd be about 6 minutes long. Because then we got to get out because we got to get to the Pete Lembo thing. So what would have happened was it would have been me and John memorializing you. And then the second segment would have been, we're back. You be getting set for another conference game here against the Akron Zips. Let's head down to the locker room. It's the late Paul Peck with Pete Lembo, presented by Paul Hutchings of Scroy Law League. And then we would have just gone up, because what was I going to do? I wasn't going to get another interview with Pete. I wasn't going to take all the questions that you asked him out.
On in the afterlife.
You would have had to.
Kind of cool.
We would have announced your death, and then you would have done 3 interviews on the pregame show, and then we would have just done the game. And that's the way it would have. And I couldn't stop laughing about let's go down to the late Paul Peck. It was in my head. That's funny. So that's my favorite thing about it. All right, that's the funny part. The real thing is I want to know, because honestly, this can help people. I want to know two things. One, how did you feel prior to this? Like the days or the weeks or the day leading up to it? Was there any indication that there was anything wrong? That's number one. And number two, can you describe the chest pain? I think, often, whatever, like you said, we're tough guys. I eat too much pizza and I get like heartburn. I'm like, am I dying or did I just have an extra slice of pizza? Like that kind of stuff.
And that's the difficult part of all this, right? And I've talked to a lot of people since this all happened, and and you do a little research and you do a little reading, and like the indications of a heart issue are a combination of stuff that happens to you all the time, right? So like that is why sometimes it's hard to, or you're inclined to go, no, fine. So to your first question, I felt fine all week. I don't recall there being anything that, made me think any differently leading up to the week. After, a particularly hard workout or a heavy, like, cardio part of a workout, I'd get a little, like, burning in my chest, and then it would go away.
Because you're 60.
Right. And it was a hard workout, right? Like, so that, so now you look back on that and you go, well, that was probably an indication of your heart wasn't operating at peak efficiency, right? So, but again, that happens. Indigestion happens. Being winded kind of happens, right? The difference was the things that I mentioned to you before. Like I had to get off the treadmill at one point, because at one point in our sort of circuit workout, you do like 5 minutes on a treadmill, and this was towards the end of the workout, and I was only like a minute and a half into it, and I'm like, I had to get off. Like, wait a minute, that's not right. The being dizzy, being nauseous, my wife noticing how pale I was, the heart rate thing, like all of that was like, okay, this isn't just normal stuff. And then when the chest pain starts to happen, kind of radiating across your chest, and a lot of times they'll tell you you'll feel pain in your left arm when you're having like a heart issue, and in my case it was a little bit of left arm, but it was more moving like from the left to the right across the chest, which one of the doctors ultimately said like, oh, that's textbook, right? So those kinds of things all together, and I'll take a step back on all of this for you, Brad, as I have some family history. My dad had suffered a heart attack in his 50s, and thank God lived another 30 plus years, right? So, but there's some family history there. There's a little family genetic history of high cholesterol and things like that. So all of those things are sort of some of those warning signs that you should keep an eye on this. But I think the one thing that I'm looking to still get answered, and again, to the people that are listening, and I know it's a lot of your friends and a lot of your buddies, so they're in that age group now where this kind of stuff has to be paid attention to more, right? If you have a family history, you got to turn up the attention meter. And whether that's more constant conversations with your doctors, whether that's a point where there are enough indicators where hey, maybe I should go see a cardiologist even though I'm not having any issues. And one of the things that resonates with me from one of the doctors was, one of the ways they can determine whether you have a blockage is like a stress test, right? Where they put you on the treadmill and they push you really hard, they monitor everything, and they kind of see. And the doctor kind of looked at me, he goes, your workout was your stress test, and guess what? You failed it. I'm like, well, okay.
Thanks,
I guess that was true.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that surprised me is how long have I had this ticking time bomb of a blocked artery in my chest that I maybe should have dealt with this 10 years ago. That's one of the questions I want to try to get answered from some of the doctors. How long was this an issue? And again, and you could flip it around, and I'm sure I will get this response from some people is again, I joke with you that Jesus, I just turned 60 and already crap is falling apart, right? But there's probably some advantage to having it happened at 60 while I'm relatively healthy.
Right.
And now I have this heart that's operating at a much higher efficiency, but I could overcome this particular moment because I'm not in my 70s where other things are not working as well. So maybe there's a blessing in having it happen when it did. So again, I can't encourage anybody that's listening enough. And again, I think it sounds like family history, it has a big part of this, right?
Sure.
So if there's any family history of anybody, generally your parents, of having some heart issues at some point in your life, you are probably more predisposed to have it. And I think the other question that I'm trying to get answered, and I don't know that anybody will ever give me an answer, was this going to happen to me no matter what? Like, unless I went full vegetarian and ate the world's healthiest diet, which I think that is not me in any way.
No, pizza's not involved in the world's healthiest diet.
Correct.
Jersey
was this
boy.
going to happen to me no matter what? And I'll give you a sports analogy that popped into my head, like Tommy John surgery, right? If you're a pitcher, at some point you're going to have it. You're going to blow up that elbow ligaments, right? If you are if you're on the track to be a major league pitcher.
Yeah.
And in some ways you almost want it to happen, because once you have the surgery, you most times come back better than you were before. So I wonder if that analogy applies in any way here, because now I'm being told it's like, man, now your heart is working better than it has in a long time.
It's like having chicken pox when you're a kid, so you don't wind up with shingles when you're older. Same type of situation. All right, Paul, I'm having fun alternating between the fun questions and the serious questions. Can I go back to a fun one again?
Go.
How does this affect Beat the Champ, your bowling show on television?
It doesn't.
Okay.
We just taped one last Sunday. We don't have another one until later in November, so it worked out great. That was not an issue. So
okay.
So that's of the again. And again, to drift back into the serious part of it, stress is part of all of this, right? They always say stress is a big impact on your health, on your heart rate and whatever. And, this is a time of year, particularly for me, when you get the crossovers with basketball and football and things like that, where I'm always going in a lot of different directions. Before all this happened, I was scheduled to do 9 different events in the next 20 days. Which is kind of a lot for us, right?
Yeah.
So I tend to get a little worked up this time of year and just I got to be prepared for this, I got to be prepared for that, and things like that. So I'm sure that had a little bit to do with it, but you're a product of the schedule sometimes, and that's what drives all of us. But maybe that had a little bit to do with it as well too. So. And Beat the Champ was kind of, even though it didn't necessarily fall in that time frame, like I'm going, I'm going in a lot of directions right now. And maybe one of my lessons is I have to make sure I fight that urge to want to work and be involved in a lot of stuff and say, you know what, maybe there's a few things you can let other people handle.
Well, you just a few days earlier, when calling the UMass game, the flagship cup, said that you thought it should be sponsored by defibrillator paddles. Like that was I'm not kidding. That was a joke that you made. This and honestly, and this is a real subject. Like my dad texted me at some point during one of these games, because it was 5 consecutive games that came down to the final minute for the Bulls, and this last one basically did too. I mean, they didn't quite get there, but had the Bulls come through, it would have been the 6th in a row that was exactly like that, where either you won it or lost it in the last minute. My dad texted me at some point during one of the games and said, "How do you deal with this stress?" And I said, "I'm not stressed at all. I'm just watching a football game." I don't want to say it doesn't matter to me, but it really has no impact on my life. It's, am I going to Detroit? Do I get to go on a cool trip? I don't know. We'll see. Like it doesn't really matter to me, but I watch the toll it takes on you. You walk out of a game like that, and you are stressed beyond belief. And I actually said that. Like, the other guys take it harder than I do. I'm just watching a football game. I'm all right.
Because every play can be the difference in the game, literally right down to the last play. And when you play on the razor's edge like that, again, my job to make sure people understand the significance of what the next play could be. Probably ups my stress level a little bit. I don't want to make that connection. Again, it's football, right? But I've been doing this a long time. I've never been through a stretch where it was 5 straight games that were decided in the last minute, where where like you just don't even get a chance to breathe as a play-by-play guy.
Right,
Like
right.
there's no throwaway plays. Like I mean, literally 130 to 140 plays in a typical football game. Like the last 40 of them could all determine the game.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get crazy, but has this been a little more of a stressful football season? Absolutely.
Well, I'm not going to blame football, but I am going to say you taking a couple weeks off. Like it's not like you dig ditches. The thing you're taking off from is these football games that can be very stressful. So you're like, you know what? I'm going to sit out for 2 of them. And then I'll be back, and you get an extra week and a half here because we go to the midweek thing. So you'll be rested and ready and totally good to go come the Central game. But when you're told, relieve yourself of stress, one of the things you actually had to do was say, no Maction for a couple weeks. Maction is not what we're looking for. All right, I'm having fun bouncing back and forth between the real questions and the fun ones. You ready for another fun one?
Go.
How long have you had a personal trainer?
About 2 years now.
Really?
And it's not a personal trainer. We work out with a trainer in a kind of group class.
Okay.
So it's not one guy.
It's pretty personal.
Like
it's still pretty
screaming
personal.
at me, but it's actually a really good setup. I've never worked out great when I didn't have someone sort of telling me what to do or guiding me. Like I can't just it never worked out for me to walk into like a Planet Fitness and just roam around and pick a machine.
No,
right?
I have no idea what I'm doing.
So when we walk into this class, there is a predetermined circuit of 3 different sets of exercises, and they're different every day. And that's what he does. And then he's always kind of walking around, and he's figuring out which weights you should be using, and he's walking around. He's saying, hey, bend your knees more here or whatever. So it's really been great. Shout out to Charlie Schmidt and SPT training out here in Hamburg. It's been great. I've done it for 2 years now, and again, only 2 days a week. I'm not killing myself, but I knew I needed to do something a couple of years ago to get myself going, particularly as I was getting older. And I'd like to think that maybe being in better shape than I was 2 years ago helped me make it through this thing easier, even if it was actually the reason why.
Or working out caused it, and you had to go through all this. But you're better in the long run, like we said, getting it, solving it while it was solvable, rather than while it was unsolvable and fatal. So that's great to know. All right, this is back to. I'm going off of Paul's heart news and going into football. I know it has to kill you that you watched a game. Now, granted, it was a loss, so not that bad. But getting ready for a game this week, I know, like you texted that you talked to Todd Walker, the BG play-by-play guy. You don't even have to call the game, Paul. You didn't have to call Todd Walker.
Well, he called me.
Okay, all right. Well, that makes more sense, I guess.
He called me, and I told him, like, hey, I'm not doing the game. If you don't want to do an interview for your podcast with me, I'll get in touch with Scott.
Right.
And he's like, no. He goes, I after I kind of told him what happened, because I know you know what you're talking about, and he'll probably connect with Scott for the pregame show once you guys get to Dwight Perry Stadium on Saturday. But again, that's part of sort of staying, not getting crazy bored this week, was trying to stay a little bit engaged, not to my normal level of preparation to be ready to call a game, but just trying to stay engaged and know where things are at. I watched Pete Lembo's press conference the other day, and just to hear what he had to say, and I'm excited to listen to you guys and watch the game on Saturday. So it's a very weird feeling, even watching and listening to you guys Saturday. It's a very weird feeling that, like, wait, hey, that I'm supposed to be there,
yeah,
right? Like, that's my game. Again, under the circumstances, I'd be stupid to not understand why I'm not there, but it was weird. I mean, it's these things are your babies a little bit, and for as long as I've been doing it, as much as I enjoy doing it, it was very weird to hear someone else like calling your game.
Well, if you watch the Bills play and they're missing 1 or 2 of their starters, that's weird. We only have 3 starters. I mean, and Bob too, but like we have a very small team. So when someone is missing from the team, it is very noticeable. So the broadcast is not the same without you. It wasn't last week. It certainly won't be this week with me filling in instead of Bob.
I can't wait for this, by the way. I mean, there's two. Scott did an amazing job, and so did Bob, being thrown into it at the last minute. That is not easy to all of a sudden, hey, by the way, I know you haven't done play-by-play in X amount of years, but we need you to do it this week. And it's not that Scott doesn't know the teams and he doesn't know the game, but it's a different skill set than what he's used to. I thought he did an amazing job. So did Bob. But again, I know you and I know who you are and how you operate. And I'm like, this is going to be really fun to listen to.
I hope so.
Because you are going to put a spin on doing color that no one has ever spun before.
I think that's right by accident because I don't know how to do it the right way. So I'm just going to do it my way and hope that it works.
There is no right way.
Cross my fingers
and
hope you get back ASAP, which you're going to. You'll be back for the Central Michigan game. Do you have any advice for me? That's the last thing I want to ask. Any advice?
The standard advice whenever I work with a color guy, I always tell them that my job as the play-by-play guy is the what, and your job is the why. And to some degree, that I think that always holds. Like, well, why are they winning? Why are they losing? Why are they struggling to throw the ball when they've been great at throwing the ball all season long? Why is the defense struggling, or why are they shutting people down? So I think if you always go into it thinking about the why, because again, you'll have done your research and you'll sort of know what Bowling Green is good at, what they might struggle at. You certainly know what the Bulls can do in generally. So if you kind of take the why aspect of it, that's probably a good piece of advice. Again, you know the players, you know the guys that are performing well, and then maybe the only part of doing color for football is you have to fight the urge to watch the ball, because normally you watch the ball, but a good color guy sometimes tries not to watch the ball, or they try to watch the coverage or the secondary, or you try to watch almost like your eyes become the all 22. So sometimes you might see something there that will be a really good addition to what Scott is calling as a play. Boy, this guy was open, or he was open because that guy fell down, or two guys went to go cover Victor Snow and left Nick McMillan open. Like those are some of the things that you can embellish upon what Scott is talking about as a color guy. But again, I just think bring a big perspective to things, right? Bring a 10,000-foot view into how the game is going, or if someone is having a great game or someone is struggling, well, then why is that happening? So
and in my role that I usually have, which is kind of the third microphone, I'm there to tell you that it's brought to you by Coca-Cola, but also to notice stuff that you guys don't see. So you're watching the ball and calling the game. Scott's watching something, and I'm picking something else out. I'm very proud of myself on a play. This sounds silly, but any play where I'm watching and excited about something, either positive or negative for the Bulls, and then there's a sack, but I didn't see it because I wasn't looking at that. Like, I was watching what was happening down the field, and then you say, oh, and he sacked. I'm proud of myself that I didn't get sucked into the football. So I've been training myself for like 15 years to do this. I just hope I have enough to say. And the other thing too is recognizing I don't know the player numbers inside and out the way that you do, just because I don't have to. So I made a chart, like you guys do. I'm just like a regular color guy. And I'm looking up to make sure I'm getting the right numbers. Like, of course I know the receivers, but like the O-line, I don't know the numbers of the O-line. I don't know the numbers of the defensive backs necessarily, at least not like top of mind where I see the number and know the name. Like, I know McNair is 8, but what else is going on in the defensive backfield number-wise? So that's the kind of stuff I'm kind of working on between now and
but that's why I have that big chart sitting in front of me, because I don't have to know all that stuff either. That's why you put all that work in during the week, and you walk in there with that spotting chart, because it's impossible to try to memorize all that stuff. And let's be honest, how often are you going to talk about the offensive line?
Never.
Or the left guard?
When they're hurt.
On the occasion that you might see, again, that might be something fun every once in a while. Watch the offensive line, and you may notice, Trevor Brock just pancaking a guy that created the time to complete a pass, and that's kind of a fun little piece of color commentary that you can add into, because more than likely Scott is not going to see that.
Right.
So every once in a while, pick a different thing to kind of watch, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But there's no real hard and fast rules to this. It's just sort of be the second set of eyes and sort of add on to whatever the play-by-play guy is saying. And again, with your inimitable style, it will be enjoyable to listen to.
Well, thank you for the advice. Thank you for the compliment. I am thinking along those lines. Just watch stuff he's not watching and then say something about it. And generally, I feel like my approach is he's in charge of making it a football game. I'm in charge of making it a show. So, like, turn the broadcast into something that people can appreciate. That's my goal. I don't know if I'm going to be any good at it, but that's what I'm going to try, and we'll see. And I just hope I'm not bad enough that they don't let me do my other job anymore. Like, I fully expect I'll do this once. I'll be one and done as a color guy. There's no place for me to do it anyway. You're the play-by-play guy. Scott's the color guy. You're both better than I am in those roles. I'm good in my role. I just want my seat back, but I'm absolutely willing to jump in and give it a shot. And if it sucks, it sucks. Oh, well, we'll just burn the tape. And we're on to Central Michigan. That's fine.
You'll be fine. You're a professional broadcaster, which means you're going to figure this out. However you think, or someone tells you it was the quality of the color commentary is an innocuous thing anyway. It's going to be a professional, well done, entertaining broadcast.
It'll be fine. All right. I'm glad you're fine. I'm glad we'll see you again next week. And thank you for taking the time. I think it was not just cool and interesting, but also important to get what you did out there, because honestly, your first thought when I reached out, like, yeah, I think I might be able to help some people to just notice things and take care of them. Don't let it slide. Go to the hospital. You might be, you might save your life by going, this doesn't feel right. And we're glad that you and Kim helped save yours. So we're happy to have you around and glad to have you check in.
Thank you, Brad. And again, can't thank my wife enough for being the voice of reason to say, you know what, something's not right here, and I'm not taking a chance. And again, that's probably my best advice to anybody is if any of these things start happening and they start stacking up on each other, and you're like, it's just indigestion or whatever. Like, but if it won't go away and it starts to get worse and it keeps happening, then somewhere along the line you got to say, well, maybe it's not that. I wonder if it could be something worse, and then that's where you get your doctors involved in things, and maybe they find something and you get it before it ever gets worse. So,
all right,
that's my best advice.
All right, Paul. The last thing I want to tell you before I let you go is the next song that I play was picked completely at random. It's just it's just because you like Billy Joel. It has nothing to do with anything at all.
The heart attack song?
No.
Heart attack.
No. What song is that? I don't even know what that
Pressure.
one.
Isn't it, right?
Oh, I could play Pressure. No, the one
don't play Pressure.
The one you're talking about is Moving Out. It's Anthony's song. It's track 1 on The Stranger.
That's right. Yeah.
I would never play the song that says heart attack, ack. You ought to know by now, right after talking to you about your heart attack, ack. I would never do that, Paul. You know me better than that.
Thank you, Brad.
All right.
Thank you.
I would never. Thanks, Paul. All right. There's Paul Peck. Let's say goodbye to Paul Peck, and then let's play a song. I would never do that. I would do that once. I would do it one time. We continue with episode 200. It's the episode 200. The Riter Radio. What am I calling it? The Riter Radio episode 200 Halloween Spooktacular. And I have made no bones about the fact that this is entirely a pre-recorded show, but it's being recorded live when it's being recorded. So it's like live to tape. We're not pulling any kind of scam. We're just on a bus right now. As this is broadcasting, I, along with Scott Wilson and the vast majority of people involved with UB football, are traveling down the Thruway, heading toward Bowling Green, Ohio. And there was no way to air episode 200 at the same time as riding in the bus. So we're pre-recording all of it, but it's still new content. We hear plenty from Scott Wilson. We don't need Scott's on the bus with me right now. Well, not right now, but as you're watching or listening, you get what I'm saying. The thing that we can't do, we couldn't just magically give you Scott's pick for the week. So, Scott, the first thing I'd like you to do is pay tribute to Riter Radio and its 200th episode, of which you've been a part of probably 70 of them. And then give us your pick for the week, and then we'll let you go because you got a lot of work to do getting set for kickoff tomorrow and working with a brand new color guy. We still don't have Paul Peck, who we heard from earlier in today's show, episode 200. It's all pre-recorded, but it's all new. It's exciting. Hi, Scott.
Hey, congratulations. 200 is a milestone. And, of all the shows, this is certainly one of them.
It sure is.
And congratulations. It's great that it continues to roll on, stronger than ever. Yeah, this is probably the part of the bus trip where I'm throwing things out to you. Well, it used to be Paul, but not this week. Paul conveniently gets to take a little vacation here while we can't tell what numbers last week against Akron because of the gray jerseys. And then this week, the bus trip to just outside of Toledo.
Pretty convenient.
Pretty convenient out of him. This is probably where I'll be saying something like, "Hey, did you see the stat that LeBron James has played 35% of all professional basketball players in the history of the NBA?"
Is that real?
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, like Tom Brady's played 21% of
the games that were played or the seasons that were played, or however you would put it. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's played 21% of all professional football players as Tom Brady, and they were throwing on. There was a third one in that group that they showed, but I can't think of him off the top of my head. But the point is, that's kind of where we get to after about the first half hour where we're
football exclusive.
Something that we're right around. That's what it gets to fairly quickly. But yeah, congratulations on 200. Let me give you my pick.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, my pick this week is I'm going with a team that we saw week 1 that you and I, we're by no means Golden Gopher fans, but I think by seeing them and being there, it gives you a little bit for this season. I'm not a fan saying I would like them to win.
Yep.
A bunch of games this year. I'm going to take Minnesota at home, -3 against visiting Michigan State Spartans. Michigan State has lost 5 games in a row. I still believe in Minnesota. I know that they've had a couple of rough games here, but I still believe in what they're doing. PJ Fleck's going to get this win for me. Only a field goal against a team that's lost 5 in a row, and it's at home. They're in Huntington Bank Stadium. I'll take that all day. Another little thing, if you're interested in a little fun thing here, Michigan State's last 3 games, the total has been 51, exactly, 3 games in a row.
Really?
And the total for the over/under for this game is 44.5.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're so inclined in riding that trend,
yeah,
you can throw that in as well. I'll also put out. I've done this now a couple weeks in a row. Just kind of an alert. Just to be careful out there. Miami opened the week as a 2.5-point favorite against SMU. They are now up to 12.5 points.
Whoa.
And I have not seen anything where the SMU quarterback is not playing or something like that. So that to me is there's
something.
Somebody had a good yayo sale this week, and they are throwing all the money behind the canes this week. So that's just, I don't know. That's anything that moving that much seems a little fishy, and it definitely perks my ears up.
I wish I was better at knowing how to interpret it. Like, yeah, it's fishy, but what does it mean? I don't know. I'm not good enough at this. But alert, watch out, be careful, or be aware. If you can interpret that information in a way that makes you money, good for you. I don't know how to. That just tells me stay the hell away from that game because I don't think so good.
That's right. Yeah, I want no part of that. I would, the way those two teams are playing, I would probably feel pretty comfortable in taking Miami there. But after seeing them throw 4 or 5 picks against Louisville, you never know.
Good use of yayo.
They're gettable.
Good use of yayo. Probably the best that's ever happened in 200 episodes of Riter Radio. That's it for the video portion of Scott. And I don't know how this is all getting put together, but the Riter Radio episode 200 Halloween Spooktacular is going to be a compilation of various things that have been recorded over the last couple of days. and I don't know the order that they're going to go in. So you may have already heard from Scott. You did already hear from Paul. I've decided that. You may have already heard from Scott, but we're about to stop this portion of the recording to record our audio-only UB football podcast, and a chunk of that will be a part of the show too. So you maybe already heard Scott. You might hear more Scott, but thank you for jumping in for the video portion and the pick here as a part of the Riter Radio episode 200 Halloween Spooktacular. Thanks, Scott Wilson.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you on the bus.